The world of cyberpunk is one that is full of contrasts. On one hand, there is technological revolution, and on the other, the downfall of society. In this universe, the megacorporations control and dominate every inch of life, which is portrayed everywhere as there are no signs of soul to be found. Man, women, and children, no one can escape from this reality. But with technology having this much toll on people's life and literally becoming a part of them, how is it possible that this very same technology and its revolution has caused such downfall of society? Maybe it's the abuse of such technology. Maybe it's the over-ambition of human beings that goes far beyond their understanding. Or maybe it's something else. In this Iceberg, we will not only explore how empty and soulless Night City really is behind all of its glamour and light, but also we will take a deep look into why Night City is a complete dystopia, and one which will terrify you. Braindance, or BD for short, is a technology which allows to record and play back a person's experience, including their physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts. It was invented in 2007 by Yuriko Tsukimoto for psychological treatment purposes. Fast forward to 2077, and now it's like the newest drug of Night City. In every corner, people are using BD in order to experience something that they always dreamed of. It is definitely one way of escaping the reality, but it's also a way to slowly meet your demise. As the number of poor keeps growing, the desire to feel the lavish lifestyle of the celebs and the richest also increases. The demand for BD became so high that it gave birth to an entire industry in the entertainment field where corps started to hire actors and actresses to play and stage in a scenario which created false memories in order for the poor to jump in and see how it felt to be in the shoes of someone with that much of prestige. However, as with any technology, it was being abused. BD addiction became a growing problem in Night City as the wealth distribution in the economy took a worse turn. And if this wasn't bad enough, there are also an illegal version of this existing on the streets, which is called XBD, or Extreme Braindance. XBD features raw sensations and emotions along with explicit violence and memories that includes tortures, rapes, and even murders. In order to make these, real people are kidnapped and used as props for these experiences. There are XBD recorded from the perspective of the victims as well, which are then collected from their corpse. As people with varied tastes exist, there is a market for both. Braindance is definitely a revolutionary technology, but unfortunately, it seems that it has done more bad than good in the universe of cyberpunk, where the poor people should try to thrive and bring value to society. Instead, they become addicted to BD and throw away their lives by completely succumbing to it. Soul Killer was created by Johnny Silverhand's ex, Alt Cunningham, which was later stolen by Arasaka. It was basically a storage which was made to store artificial non-human personalities. However, during its development, she was awed to realize that this matrix could also be used not only to store the minds of living persons, but to transfer these digitized engrams to and from physical bodies seamlessly. She discovered this during her work at ITS, and later when ITS got their hands on it, they named it Soul Killer. So basically, it could be used as a form of immortality, as someone's conscience could be stored on it. Even if their body failed them, they could live here forever. However, it's called Soul Killer for a reason. It had the ability to trace and extract the mind of an intruding netrunner. In the story of Cyberpunk 2077, T-Bug dies because of the Soul Killer program. The fact that such an invention even exists just shows how much people have lost it. The need to live forever has caused so much suffering in the long term. People are living forever, but is that kind of life worth living? And this is perfectly encapsulated in the game. During the ending of the game, Alt Cunningham will talk to V, and if V says that he cheated Death, she would say that it wasn't he who cheated Death, but that it was Death who cheated him. And then you can realize how it all makes sense. Finding a resolution is not only better, but also beautiful than to have an existence like this. But going back to Soul Killer, it was such a curse on society that even non-net runners around the world started to know about it and thought it was one of the closest thing to hell on earth. Even though the future of Cyberpunk does not seem so good, it's still not entirely hopeless. People still have choices that they can make. Some decide to live without these technologies and you will come across them in the story, but others will completely leave Night City to get away and enjoy their life. It isn't all on the revolution of technology, but also on Night City as well. It's almost like the city is alive, and as Johnny said, that it's a monster created by people. But there is still beauty to be found here. It's like the destruction of a war. Sure, the war is horrifying and evil. It's full of chaos. But after everything is destroyed and there is nothing left other than rubble and flames, there is a sense of peace in it. Because the worst that could happen has already happened, and there is nothing left to worry about anymore. People still have a choice to opt out of cyberware if they wanted to, but it seems like that number is very low, as most could not resist the urge to feel empowered. The lust of being powerful is too much for most to even think about the consequences of their decisions. But even then, the fact that some people opt out of it all and live a normal life just shows how no matter what, some people will always find the normal life more attractive than the one where you turn all metal. In Cyberpunk, religion plays a heavy role in the universe and is also heavily themed throughout the game. In Cyberpunk 2077, the religions that are mentioned or appear in any ways are Buddhism, Hinduism, and Christianity, to name a few. The poor people of America seems to flock towards Islam as well. People with faith and belief are found in a lot of corners in Night City. Monks are pure from all body modifications as they try to stay pure, which makes sense. They also don't like the acts of violence even if performed for a greater good, as they think bad actions are not justified at all. During the collapse of mankind, people tend to be more and more religious as they seem to find purpose and believe in this. But Night City is still a dystopia, and most are consumed by it. But how so? Let's take a look at that in the next layer of this iceberg. In Night City, because of issues like the distribution of wealth not being good, mega corporations controlling everything, extreme amounts of environment pollution, and the lack of overall safety, the birth rate has also faced a rapid decline of a whopping 29% in 2076. Though there are children in the game, it is definitely not a good look. Birth rate declining has a lot to do with finance, as having a child and then raising them is very expensive. In Night City, the honest don't get that much eddies by doing honest work, which is why becoming a mercenary in Night City is a good idea as it pays a lot. But it goes to show how much society has fallen that almost a third of the population are just gone. Things have got to be so bad for that to happen, and all you need is to look around and see what is happening to this place.
How about I tell you a joke?
Okay, what's going on?
Hey there, stranger! I'm Brendan, your friendly neighborhood SCSM, and the nicest AI in all of Night City.
SCSM stands for Spontaneous Craving Satisfaction Machine. These are basically futuristic vending machines where one will pay money and get a certain product from it. Yeah, I think you know how a vending machine works. Out of the many schisms in Night City, one will actually get your attention, and it's this one called Brendan. Brendan is one of the few examples of why Night City is truly one of the saddest places on Earth in 2077. What makes Brendan differ from any other generic schism is the fact that Brendan has a unique personality. Brandon is actually really nice to everyone he comes across, or rather everyone that comes to him, as he cannot really move. He's also very easy to find because he's right beside Mega Building H8 and you can select the fast travel and get there instantly. As a vending machine, Brandon cannot be rude even if he tried. When Brandon likes someone he talks to, he gives them offers on anything they might want to buy. There is no reason for Brandon to have enemies, but Night City is not a nice place. It's full of people who are lost. Sometimes thugs will go to Brandon and try to pry him open, maybe because he makes money and they want to destroy him and take his money. But that isn't why he is dystopic. It's because Brandon also forms a relationship with people around him as well. People find Brandon to be very nice to them and they really think this vending machine can be their actual best friend. This shows that in a world full of connectivity through the net and technology available, people are more lost than ever. They are failing to form any sort of meaningful connection in the real world. But Brandon was programmed to be extra nice to everyone he met or talked to, which is why the people that think he is their best friend finds them friendly. He is someone who is not human, but these people would wish that he was a real human. It also applies to things like relationships. When Brandon is finally updated and is programmed to have a generic AI algorithm on him, his best friend cries and realizes that it was all over. She found something in Brandon that she couldn't find in anyone else. Funnily enough, this is actually happening in real life too. People are flocking towards using AI companions to help them find connection, but that is a topic for another day. In Cyberpunk's base game, you'll come across this couple and the guy is standing for election. In this quest, you are tasked to work for them in order to find if there have been any bad actors around their competition. Anyway, after a few gigs here and there, they'll tell you that they think there was an intruder in the house when they were asleep. So, you'll be tasked to investigate the couple's house. It will be revealed that there was a hidden room in their house the whole time. Also, you will start to notice that whenever you ask the wife any question, she will reply in very weird and off-putting way, which are the signs that there is something seriously wrong going here, but you just cannot figure it out quite yet. After learning about the hidden room in the apartment, it will be revealed that it was their security watching them. If you follow the trail in order to find out who is behind it all, you will be shocked to learn that the couples are actually brainwashed. They are slowly but surely destroying the couple's brains. This turns out to be very disturbing as they start to tell you that they cannot even tell if the memories they have in their head are actually even real memories or memories that has been artificially created. This unknown entity gives V a call as well and warns him to not get in their way. Unfortunately, after telling them about this unknown entity, the game never really mentions them ever again. Not to mention, they even tried to hurt V, which means they could hurt V whenever they want in the game, but they never do it ever again. But it has to be terrifying for the family to know that they are being watched God knows for how long by an unknown entity that can basically control them whenever they wanted and however they wanted, since they can make changes directly in the brains of the paralysis. But they weren't the only people who are a victim. This is definitely one of the biggest mystery of Night City, and I haven't found any resolution to this in the game. In a way, it's worse than dementia, cause it's people doing this to people with the help of very advanced technology that is clearly being abused. Whereas in dementia, it's just a disease that slowly wipes off the memories. But here, fake memories are created and people are physically being brainwashed. In Night City, advertisement is lifeblood. It's a city of ads. Wherever you go, you'll be greeted by marketing of various products mostly for adults, which makes it a bad place for children, but inappropriate advertisements are the least of Night City's problems regarding children. People in Night City are conditioned to buy things that they clearly do not need, but are buying because of the marketing. The bright neon lights also advertises products from Night City to far, far away. It reaches the sky. is a visual reminder that how the corporations are over and above all. Of course, the technology has basically made people turn into husks, but it's the corpse who made them. So they rule over everyone. It doesn't matter if the people are suffering or dying because of them. As long as there is one person above a rubble of cement, they're willing to sell. But the rubble and what's underneath that does not matter at all, which is one of the reasons why everywhere people are zombies. But the actual city is full of bright lights and smokes. Another visual indication how it might look bright on the outside but the inside is rotten. The people aren't the only ones who became zombies, but the city itself is a zombie too, and only some look past it to enjoy life while others do not. Another way corps control people is with drugs. The amount of people under the influence of drugs is saddening and can be seen pretty much everywhere in Night City. But advertisements aren't the only thing that is full in Night City. Crime is as well. I don't even need to mention this, as one glance at every trailer of this game and anyone can tell that Night City is full of crimes. Law and order are pretty much at an all-time low. The whole map is full of gangs, and the NCPD scanner keeps showing the player just hundreds of crimes happening in Night City. The fact that the NCPD needs help from mercs like V shows the bleak state of Night City. Atom Smasher is featured both in Cyberpunk 2077 and also in the Edgerunner anime. He's the one who captured Johnny Silverhand during the bombing run. He has so much cyberware on him that he does not even look human anymore. But you can tell that it always wasn't the case. Back when he captured Johnny during his bombing run, he looked much more like flesh and blood. Now, it's the complete opposite. So what happened to him? We can see that in the game, he hungers for combat more than anything, and he is also one of the most despicable characters in the entire game, despite being in it for only 5 minutes. Here's what happened. After being reduced to mush by a rocket blast, Arasaka offered him a choice: either pull the plug or become a full-body conversion cyborg. With little to no options and a lack of care for his human side, he agreed and became more machine than man. Other than that, he's the definition of pure evil. At least the way he looks is exactly how he is. No humanity was left in him or on him. But because Arasaka saved his life, he decided to live and hunt down any enemies of Arasaka.
What's your take, Johnny? Son of a bitch. It's basically scrap. Suppose it'll have to do. And Smasher, don't bother trying to get up. You pile of junk. How about that, Johnny? That was for you.
Dolls are most commonly found in the sex industry of Night City. They are implanted with the doll chip, which allows certain behavioral changes within them. For example, importing data from systems, steering the doll's behavior in sessions, and wiping the doll's memory after each session, which basically means the client is the only one who will know what happens during each session while the doll is completely unaware. In this way, the clients can get whatever their hearts desire, and the dolls can also stay dead, not knowing what is happening to them or how they are being treated, which is why it's liked by not only the employers but also the clients as well, and is seen as a win-win conclusion. I don't need to explain why this is so messed up and how terrifying the idea of such a thing existing really is. I will let you be the judge for this one. It is often believed that people who install too much cyberware on them later on turns into cyber psychos. They are insane people with too much cyberwares. Killing cyber psychos works as a gig in Night City, and for mercs like V, they are an everyday job. though fixers like Regina wants V to keep these cyberpsychos alive when possible, as she thinks there might be some hope for them after all. The reason people believe that too much cyberware can turn anyone into cyberpsychos is because cyberware takes a toll on the human body, which means if someone installs a lot of cyberware that they can handle, it can literally destroy them. Though that is not completely true. Cyberpsychosis is more of a psychological disorder which is caused by the cybernetics rather than a physical one. Regardless, it is caused by the cybernetic augmentation which is readily available in Night City and can be bought easily from different Ripper docs. The fact that this is allowed openly and is not considered illegal shows you the decline of Night City. Obvious things like this should be illegal but is not. Cyberpsychos often drive towards causing chaos, and most of the time they are not even in charge of their own body. Unfortunately, the harm they bring is a lot, and rough application of force is the only way to deal with such individuals. In Cyberpunk 2077, cyberpsychos are seen as opportunities to make more money. We can either kill them or just subdue them, but the latter one is preferred by the fixers. And though they are always causing harm to people, there are also sometimes young people who are lost and just far gone because of cyberwares. As mentioned before, that cyberpsychosis is believed to be caused by cyberwares, which however is not confirmed. There is a shard that talks about the truth of cyberpsychosis, and it says this: I have had enough of the senseless shootings that claim hundreds of innocents every day. I'm sick of the satire on empty, dead-end, implant restriction dialogue. I'm tired of ignoring the cyberpsychosis problem. In American society today, there are still a lot of common myths and misconceptions about the so-called technology-related personality disorders. People think they can become infected in sketchy Ripper Doc clinics. Scientists allegedly disagree about the causes of the disease, or even about whether it exists at all. Maybe their tune would change if a cyberpsycho turned their lab into a slaughterhouse, but even then, I doubt it. They're not getting fat paychecks from the cyberware lobby just to openly declare to the public all the nasty possible side effects that come packaged with their products. I've conducted my own research on cyberpsychosis. With supreme confidence, I can confirm this illness is indeed a byproduct of the modern lifestyle and the obsessive emphasis placed on incorporating modern tech into our lives. Although cybernetic implants can directly affect our brain chemistry, they still serve only as a catalyst for the onset of the disease. Our world is subject to extensive dehumanization. We surround ourselves with increasingly more automated machines and artificial intelligences. Our loved ones replace their nature-given eyes, lips, and faces with masks of metal. Some of us begin to lose sight of what is human. We slip into feelings of total alienation and deep-rooted panic. We lose the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is only artificial, digital, synthetic. Such people begin to isolate themselves, losing their empathy for others, and undergo dramatic mood swings that exhibit sadistic tendencies. The most frightening component to all of this, however, is that most will never be diagnosed. You can find children near some Ripper Docs in the game, and also children using VR headsets to play games. However, installing augmentation in children would be difficult since they grow up very fast, and that means the cybernetics would need to work with a growing body and also a growing brain. Which means unless you are an adult, you cannot go to Ripper Docs or get cybernetics installed in your body, and that's a good thing. However, before this game came out, people thought there would be cybernetic modifications made for children, which ultimately remained a theory because in the game's trailer and also in the intro cinematic of the game, they show you a kid wearing VR headset and playing video games. But theory proved to be false because there are no actual augmented children in the game. Located within the net, a firewall named Blackwall was developed by Netwatch. It was made so that rogue AIs could not enter the cyberspace and cause damage. The cyberspace is used by netrunners to surf through the net. If rogue AIs ever penetrated the black wall, they could do so much damage to the net that it could destroy the entire world. However, it just so happens that the black wall itself is also an AI masquerading as ice, which means it is definitely a band-aid patch and not a real solution to the rogue AI problem, as Blackwall itself could also go rogue. The Voodoo Boys believe that it will happen at some point, and to win back the rogue AIs after that, they want to take down the Black Wall. The Black Wall came without warning, out of nowhere, which meant that any netrunners left stranded on the other side had no way to safely jack out nor survive indefinitely in cyberspace. As a result, Netwatch managed to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, neutralizing the threat of AIs and getting rid of troublesome hackers. The price of the Black Wall meant abandoning major technological advancement that came with self-aware AIs. Nevertheless, Netwatch made up for it by creating new tools that would grant them even greater access over the net. By the end of Cyberpunk 2077, depending on choices, V can either survive or die. However, if the option of survival is chosen, V can only survive in the digital way. His consciousness will live forever and he will leave his current body and have another body to be used. Or, if he doesn't want that, then there is only one option left for him, which is that he has 6 months left in him and after that he will die. No matter what, he cannot actually survive, as Arasaka fails to not fully cure V. However, after the DLC Phantom Liberty, this might not be the case. In the DLC endings, V can actually survive and also live like a normal person, but doing so will mean that he will lose all cybernetics and will never be a merc ever again. Basically, he will turn into a generic NPC. But the base game doesn't give you such endings. It is a theory that Arasaka decides not to fully cure V, because why would Saburo Arasaka want to cure V? He probably doesn't give 2 shits about him. Save Your Soul program was probably just a bait to use V and his skills. This theory does not work well with the entire idea of the game, which is to never sell out to corps or never sell your soul to a corporation, which is why it makes perfect sense that they really never cared for V, and Johnny also warned V about this as well. However, we really cannot confirm this as there are no evidence that shows Arasaka's true motives. Johnny Silverhand will show you where his body should be buried. After going to the location, you find out that there are actually no markings left for Johnny, which upsets Johnny as it makes him feel like he left no mark or legacy in the world. To make him happy, V carves up the Johnny marking where his supposed body should be, and from here some decisions can be made which will make V and Johnny be either friends or not. It's most likely that there are no markings left for Johnny because he was a terrorist, and the authorities probably thought that there should be no markings for him, which would make sense since it's an oil field and they probably knew that there was gonna be an oil field there and decided to bury Johnny so he would never be found. Or it could be that Johnny isn't buried in the oil fields at all and that's why there are no markings of him. It's a symbolic location where V visits to confront their inner turmoil and Johnny's lingering presence, as the oil fields represent a desolate, forgotten part of Night City, mirroring Johnny's own tragic past. What really must have happened is that his body didn't end up being in the oil fields forever, though at one point it might have been there. What actually happened to his body will probably be a mystery forever. No one is immortal, but humans have always been interested in the idea of immortality. As humans, we want to live as long as we can, or we see living as long as possible as a plus. In the world of Cyberpunk, where technology has been moving up quickly, it's a no-brainer that immortality is very much desired. And in some ways, it is also achieved. As I stated before, that V will die in one of the endings of the game, but he or she can choose to live in the cyberspace with Alt Cunningham. This makes the body of V die, but his consciousness will live forever, albeit in a dangerous place. But he can also just have a body change, which will take his consciousness and put it simply in a different body. V's original body will die, but he can live on. As you can clearly see, it's not exactly what we can call immortality, but it is still a way to live forever. Some will see it as a good thing. They will cherish the fact that you can always live on, while some will seek closure at some point and will never see this as a good thing. However, it all boils down to one's preference, though every beginning should have an end at some point. Otherwise, people who live forever will see their loved ones die over and over again, as not everyone has the luxury for such a thing. It is such a polar opposite way of existing in the world of Cyberpunk, because on one hand, it shows how far human curiosity has come, but also the dangers it brought with it. You can live forever, but you will never be you ever again. Death isn't the worst outcome, as it means you will have a closure to life and will be able to put everything to rest. In the world of Cyberpunk, where the society has become a complete dystopia, this might just be a luxury. You can become anyone by the use of Braindance technology. You can be stronger than anyone by having cybernetics, which can turn you into a superhuman. You can use the net and destroy humanity, but also make revolutionary inventions or discoveries. It all boils down to what someone wants to do with resources that they have, and the universe of Cyberpunk is no different. But it seems like the world is definitely going down the worst path. In the dystopian world of Cyberpunk, relationships have little to no meaning, as the mass number of people are opting in the usage of technology, which allows connectivity in the virtual realm but not so much in the real world, and that introduces the ideas of nihilism and misery. One can very easily lose their way in this world. For V though, it was his sins that ultimately caught up to him. After getting the construct of Johnny in his head, V realized he was dying. Though he did everything for survival, ultimately it would always come at a cost. He would either live on into the cyberspace or live on as someone else's body, or give up his merc life and live like the rest of the people. No matter what, there are consequences for all of his actions. However, if V decides to die, his friends will either be disappointed or sad at his choice, which would still mean that his death was meaningful regardless. This is why it's important to note why death isn't all bad. Cyberpunk raises this one question of, would you rather live forever but see everyone you love and care about die, and you will also never be yourself, or would you rather finally let go and accept your fate? After all, leaving this dystopia might be worth it. The universe of Cyberpunk is very dystopian in nature, and this Iceberg was the demonstration of that. Thank you for patiently waiting for this video. Become a member of this channel by joining it and to support me further. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Perfect Enrager signing out.